What's going on, everybody? For the 499th time, I'm about to tell you all that the world is a better place because you are here to join us. My name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Predictive Conversations podcast on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. And it is a Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. And we're going to talk about what was trending throughout this past week on this St. Patrick's Day weekend and beyond that. And before we do, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe to the Productive Conversations podcast on all podcast platforms and YouTube. And don't forget to check out exclusive content regarding the show across all social media platforms. We're on Instagram at Productive Conversations Podcast, X and Twitter at PodCobblePod, on TikTok at Productive Conversations, and Facebook at Productive Conversations. So big week, very big week, on account that
Mm,
this Friday, recording this Friday will be the 500th episode of Productive Conversations. And we'll do something special to celebrate that milestone. And we can't wait to bring you all into that celebration. So we'll have that for
indeed.
you next week. Sorry, we'll have that for you at the end of the week. Next week, we'll have more continued coverage as we head into a busy time in the sports season. Baseball starts, March Madness, some March Madness thoughts there tonight as well. And we got just a bunch of other fun things to get into, and we can't wait to talk to you all about it. What's going on, Ryan? You're joining me tonight. What's going on?
Not much. I'm happy to be here. Happy belated St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Hope everybody had a fair amount of Guinness this weekend, as long as, of course, you're 21 years old, not 18. But how are you, Matt?
I'm all right, Ryan. Not too bad. Not too bad. Everything's all good.
Yep.
Um, I'm gonna try something different for today.
hmm
And I promise you, I am all right. I just had a unique thing that happened this morning, and I thought this was a good time. Why don't we just reflect on it here, and I'll explain what it is. So, I was at a time for some months, a little bit of time, in a relationship that came to an end on Monday. That came to the end about 12 hours since the recording of this, right? I just wanted to say first, this isn't me. We're not doing a hit job. We're not here to air out dirty laundry or spill the tea or give the cheese, May. With my ex, I do have real admiration, and I wish nothing from the best. And there's no grudge and no ill will whatsoever. I thought it'd be a good time just to see what we can learn about really quick. And I know it's just you and me tonight, but maybe down the line, sooner rather than later, I did an entire dating episode, and it's only appropriate to do the breakup episode too. But all I want to ask and all I want to talk about for now here is, what do you think for somebody, what do you learn? What do you learn? Have you learned from breakups? What have you learned from relationships ending? As I am reflecting on my own, I think the best thing for me is that as long as you truly learn from this experience, from this relationship, and grow as a person, it was definitely worth it. And I'm not absolutely heartbroken or destroyed, which allows me to have the ability to do this conversation right now.
hmm
Just the things we can learn from breakups. What can you learn or reflect on? And if you don't mind me asking, and it's easier for me right now because I had a day with it. What are some of the reactions you've had in terms of a breakup? What happened? And
hmm
like, how did you go about your day during a breakup? Because
I,
I was,
mm,
maybe it was easier for me because I'm just going about my day. The world keeps on moving. Nobody knows I went through a breakup here in this gym or in this store
mhm.
or whatever, which is interesting. And I think in this opportunity where I am not very sad or anything or over emotional, I don't want to be, sort of, I have even criticized some people who make content out of everything, every little situation, and I have an example of that later to go viral. And this isn't me trying to
Mhm.
go viral. I just was just curious as I went through a day of breakup today, and I'm
Mhm.
ultimately fine. I was just curious how other people thought the day of a breakup, and it's interesting to record on a day like this. And for me, this did business as usual in terms of producing the show. I just did what I normally do. In fact, nothing changed. I just and I'll go in details of other things I did, but I was just curious with what I asked. How have
Hmm.
you done during the day of a breakup, and what have you learned from any of yours?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it truly depends on how the breakup happened. I think that that's an important part of it. It's so it's different depending on obviously the person. That's like a
Mm-hmm.
lame answer. So put that aside because that's the lame answer. I think it's different than like depending on how it happened. So like there's been multiple times where I've broken up with somebody. I've actually more often than not, surprisingly, but that's not to say that I'm a heartbreaker. It's to say that I'm very selective to begin with. And
Yeah.
so obviously in those particular situations, there wasn't a ton of like, I didn't think much about it at all because it was my decision. I could have not done it, but I did. So, it's like I must have had a reason. And you move on. But in some of the times that I have been broken up with, I mean, there was one time in particular where honestly, it was basically just like a weird ghost thing. We were together and then we weren't, but it wasn't really no, we did no, we never talked about it, right? So we were together and then we weren't seeing each other anymore, and we just kind of never really mentioned why that was or how that was, and I know why that was, and they know why that was too. But it was yeah, it just kind of ended. And so in that case, you do have like the day of the breakup, you are still thinking about it because you're like, okay, what just happened? Like, is this really a breakup? Is this just a weird day? So like when you have one of those, like kind of half ghosting, half whatever, then it becomes something, it's the only thing you can think about, I would say. But then you have like more normal ones where someone is like, listen, don't think this is gonna work out, and you're probably a little sad for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, all right, it always stings a little bit to feel
Yeah.
like you failed, which is a weird way to be because you haven't failed. I mean, I guess if every person you date is supposed to be like your forever, then yeah, technically you failed. But
A
I don't,
lot of failures for some people more than others.
right? But
In that case.
I don't think that that's what it's about. I don't think that's what dating is about. I mean, yes, ultimately that's something that you look for while you're dating, but it's really about trying to figure out what you like and then you'll eventually find someone that has it. So you'll do a bunch of things. You're like, that was cool. Didn't love that so much, or this was too much, or this was whatever. And then eventually you'll find someone that just you connect with, and you're like, this makes sense. But so though, like a normal breakup, I think it's normal to be a little bit bummed after a breakup. I think the times when people get really sad are when there's something that's unresolved. And
Mm-hmm.
again, from my own experience, the only one that really kind of stuck with me, the only time that me and person I was seeing really stuck with me when it ended was when it was, and it's the only time it's ever happened, when it was that random just kind of drop off. Like we weren't it was
Mm-hmm.
nothing, and that no one really knew what was going on, myself included, in terms of like, is this actually ended? Should I be trying, should I be trying to unend it? You know what I mean? Like, was this a situation of, I have to step in, or not step in but step up, sort of thing. It was again very confusing, not a lot of communication, because that leaves you wondering, and obviously that's a specific example, but I know of other people who, if they end on a fight, right? If
Yeah.
if a fight ends a relationship, a lot of times it's not so much the end of the relationship that makes it like hurt worse. It's that there was something unresolved, i.e. the fight, right? Like you
Yeah.
were fighting and now you're not dating anymore. And so you've got this unresolved tension with this person. And that is what upsets people, I think, more than the actual like being broken up with them, you know? So I just think that in general, if there's any sort of like underlying resentment that hasn't been addressed or questions that have not been explored when you break up with somebody, that's when you end up, with one or both of you being particularly like upset and kind of distraught. And then it's less that, oh, my relationship's over, and more that, oh, my relationship is over and I don't get to ask this, or I don't get to learn this, or I don't get to say my piece about this. Like, I really do think that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Comments will tell me. Like maybe someone is just so perfect and then they break up with you and it was, there's nothing else. But I mean, we've said this on the show, and we said it in a slightly different context, but I don't know if you remember. I actually just saw this clip recently, right? And it's like we said like your worth can't come from somebody else. And when we said it the first time, it was about dating, but we were talking about like people who trash their ex, right? We're like, if you have to trash your ex to feel good about a breakup, that says something about you more than it does about anybody else. But you could go even broader. Like if a breakup if a breakup leaves you that sad and it's not because there's something left unsaid or underexplored, then you were putting way too much stock in that person. You know what I mean? Like way too much stock. And I understand like that changes over time. The longer you're with somebody, the more you intertwine your lives, that becomes less true. And I say that, as someone who has a partner who we're very intertwined, obviously, because we're married and all of that stuff. And yeah, it would be different if I lost my current, my wife versus any of
Yeah,
my
of
exes,
course.
right? So it does change over time. I'm not saying that, oh, anytime, if you feel bad, it's because you don't value yourself. No. But I mean, like when you're dating, especially if, only dating for like, however many months, maybe a year, and you're just devastated, absolutely devastated. I think at that point you have to be like, wow, I was putting a lot of who I was, like and how I felt, on this other person, because losing them hurt me in a way that I wasn't expecting. And so I do think that that's important advice too. Like if you're crying over a couple months, like crying over a couple months, that means you put way too much stock in what that other person thought of you.
Yeah, and it's also like, yeah, I find, of course, some have been harder than others. No doubt there's definitely some sting with this, even if I guess both of us know deep down it was just meant to be. There was a compatibility issues and just wanting different things, just pretty normal. And I think there's the one thing with no animosity either, no anger. There's nothing
Hmm.
toxic. There's no diss tracks or anything that's coming out of this. It's just, yeah, I think even if I don't want to sound this to be like a dick. I just feel relieved. Maybe even they do as well. I feel liberated. Like it's supposed to be this way. It's no hard feelings. We're now free to do whatever. Where no rules were broken. I don't think no one got hurt. No one got toxic. No one cheated. You're just
Right.
like, okay, I could really start a new chapter now, and that's where the relief comes from.
And that I feel like is easier when you're older. Like obviously we have the analytics on this show, so we know the age roughly of everybody who listens. And there are definitely people who are younger than us, right, who do listen. And I it is harder then. Like having been a teenage guy who'd been broken up with before, it obviously is not easy. It's not
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
But
It's no hard. You
yeah.
can't. It's everyone's first time feeling those feelings. I don't. I think
Right. Yeah, that's kind of
it
what I
might
mean.
feel at the end of the world, but I understand it's hard for anyone of any age to feel it.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like to your point, like when you're like older, more got more experience, you've done this more times, and you have other things going on. It does definitely make it less like it makes it hurt much less. I mean, you honestly you could say that about almost anything. As you get older and you've experienced more things, less things are totally
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, right.
You want to
Because you're
know
like, oh, I've
what?
done this.
I I even though the show itself, I don't think it's aged. It's not the show's fault. The show hasn't aged well, but it's just not. It's just not. How do I explain this? It's just hard. It's just the people in it have aged so poorly that affects the whole show. Is that
Hmm.
70 show?
Yeah.
Like you can't. I feel
Well,
like
right, because
it's
of
harder to watch it because
Masterson
of
and yeah.
yeah the few cast members there, and the show's legacy's shot forever. Sadly, because of it.
I mean, they
But
tried with the '90s show or whatever,
yeah,
but
it just wasn't the same.
no.
But there was one line from Fez. Even though I guess technically this character didn't age well. The foreign exchange Latin student, he was kind of a creep, but he talked
They're
about
all great.
rejection and stuff. Well, yeah, he was talking about rejection and stuff, and he's like, "Honey, once it happens 150 times, it just doesn't hurt anymore."
Yeah, well, it's true. And
I
again,
mean,
it
it's
goes
true.
for a
Yeah.
lot of things. And so that's, again, kind of why I say the circumstance matters. Because if it's the
Right.
first time you've been broken up with, even if it's like amenable or whatever, like that,
Yeah, the
it
first
is
time
hard.
breaking up,
All
that was
right.
different. Like the very first true adult relationship breakup. Yeah, that was definitely the hardest one hit. But and I think when you're talking about things that want unresolved,
Yeah.
there's you think you could be in better circumstances that probably would have fixed the situation, but just isn't like that. So
Hmm.
that was a tough one, but and I've had breakups since, and some more than others, and some still bummed out. Like, damn, like that really sucked.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a breakup in the pandemic that was still just didn't feel real because nothing felt real at that time. But
Well, yeah.
all these
That was
little
the
seeds
pandemic.
that helped create this platform we're on now. But I don't want people to look too into that this show is started off a breakup, but maybe a small portion you could put it in the pie challenge calendar. It was 5% to have something to keep your mind off things, and that's
Yeah.
I think was good for me today. I was off from work, so I did my side hustle doing some deliveries and just hearing
Hmm.
real upbeat, like cool music um that I just heard over the weekend. So it was cool. I will say the hardest, one of my harder breakups. I will say it again whenever we have this breakup pod. But I had one that was really hard. That was almost done twice, like the romantic breakup and then the real breakup of everything, which was
Hmm.
a little harder than the romantic breakup.
Well, right. Yeah.
And I remember watching this movie called Harold and Maude,
Okay.
which is a weird. It's a beautiful movie. It's very strange. It's about a 17-year-old mentally ill, soon to be adult who starts a relationship with an 80-year-old woman.
Hmm.
And they have this song, and I can't think of the guy's name, but it's a powerful song. And I'm watching this amongst my breakup, and they have if you want to sing out, sing out. If you want to be
Hmm.
free, be free. Because there's a million things to read. Open there are, and they it was used in a car commercial too. But
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
That's
yeah,
a
this
famous
all
song.
hits, and then those things almost like a beautiful breakup, and somewhat felt that today, even though I really had no animosity and no anger. I feel maybe relieved, but I hear this song from this up and coming artist
Yeah.
named Thames.
Thames.
And yes, you might know Thames, one of her samples. She's the
Okay.
sample of the I will wait for you. I will wait for you. You heard that? You ever heard that Drake or Future song? Maybe, maybe not.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I can't play that for now, but
Yeah, no,
I
that's
just
fine. I'll
heard
look
this
into
Thames
it, but
songs. I'm fucking. I'll do it. Hopefully they don't have a copyright. She has this high. Maybe you heard this. Maybe, maybe not.
I can't say I have. I've never heard of Thames, and I have not heard of that song. But I mean, I'm sure if I listened to it, it would make me think of breakups. So I
Yeah, no,
probably won't.
this one. It's this one. This is her. Ever heard that or no? I won't even
No.
consider this breakup music, but it had a nice, comforting feeling, and that's where
So
the wind
yeah,
comes from.
sometimes music doesn't fit with like it's not like oh I wrote a breakup song that's for breakup. I mean, some people do it that way, but sometimes just a song makes sense. I will say personally, I feel like rejection hurts way more than breakups.
In a way.
I will put that out there. Like I'd rather maybe this is optimistic. I'm sure that we'll have when we do our actual full breakup episode, whenever that is, we'll have more varied opinion. But I feel like it's better like that old cliche of loved and lost or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that giving it your best and then being told it wasn't quite good enough, whilst it stings, at least you did get a shot, and
Yeah, right.
you didn't make it. You didn't, but but when you don't even get a shot, that to me is definitely worse.
I think
I always
also what
I've
stings is like someone who really leads you on that they really like you, and then they just don't. It's a weird type of hurt. Besides more of an aggravation, but
I mean,
those do bother.
I've never felt aggravated at someone for not wanting to like date. I've had
Oh
that
no, no, no.
happen.
What I
I'll
meant
be yeah.
like is like the leading on is aggravating. Like, why are you
Oh
acting
yeah.
as you like me and then don't?
I
Like,
mean,
you'd rather just start from the beginning of the not like.
I guess yeah. I don't. So this is just the me thing. I think this is good advice, but I know a lot of people would disagree. But I don't put a lot of stock into the leading on idea. Not like I know it exists. I know people do it. I just mean like I don't pay attention to that because it doesn't like matter to me,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Like if someone is acting in a way that I think they're flirting with me or whatever, ultimately, if I don't want to reciprocate, I won't. And if I do, then honestly, I'd probably, try and strike up that sort of, try strike up a conversation and get to know them, even if they weren't doing that. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't change. It's not like I'm more likely to be into somebody because they're being more interested in me. Like either I'm interested or I'm not. And so I don't need like that, if that makes sense. Like, and obviously, like I said at the beginning, I'm selective. I've always been very selective. Obviously, I'm married now, so not applicable now. But even before, I was not somebody who would, date around or whatever very often. So I would try and be selective with who I was like talking with, who I was trying to get to know, and then ultimately who I would try, and actually have a more legitimate relationship with. And so I don't know. For me, like I never got like, oh, you were leading me on sort of thing from anybody. Like that never really crossed my mind. But there were people that I definitely really liked. And I was hopeful that they would be into it too, and they were not.
Yeah,
And
and this is just
multiple times.
the last thing I'll
And
say
yeah.
with this before we move on
Mm,
is throughout every breakup almost, I feel like whether it's a breakup of a legit relationship like we have here, the breakup of a situationship, breakup of a situationship or little fling or whatever, it's understanding the signs. And we talk about those absolutes like you could have saw this for weeks that this was ending. Like, why did anybody do it? Whether keep going, whether it's fear or pride or whatever, there are signs there. When someone's trying to legitimately show attraction, they'll show
mhm.
the very clear cut sides. Gotta take the hit or whatever. And I think that's one of the things I want to learn as each relationship we move on. Like, it's clear that this is going in this direction. This is not. And sometimes there are the gray areas, no doubt. I don't think it's worth going through a gray area of it,
I mean,
honestly.
you know me.
But
I'm Captain Gray Area.
mhm.
I believe most of the things in life happen in the gray area.
For
But
sure. But if I'm saying if somebody's saying, "Hey, I like you. You made me feel this way today in a positive light. I would love to go eat at this place at this time. Do you want to go?" That's like, okay, chances are good that this is going to work out compared
I
to,
mean,
oh,
yeah, certainly for
maybe,
the date.
or maybe, I don't know, I'll let you know. Even though the word no wasn't
Yeah,
said,
I
we'll
mean,
let you
yeah.
know. That's what I'm saying in the
Yeah, if someone's not
clear
interested when
results
you ask,
there.
yeah, if someone's not interested when you ask, it might probably just means they're not interested. I
Yeah,
think that that's
or
fair.
if with things going on not working in the relationship. Oh, probably if I dedicated more time to fixing this, I would know this will get fixed or choosing the problem. And some people do that, some people don't.
Mm.
So that's where I don't want a gray area in that specific. Like if you know how to fix it, do it. And if it's
Sure,
still
yeah,
weird, then you know,
not meant to be.
you starting a new chapter. But I think that's enough for now on that. We can spend more time later on in the coming weeks regarding the breakups, but I think this is a good reflective time and lessons were learned. Hit me up if you want to say hello and are interested in anything. But
Shooting his shot, Matt.
friends or lovers, situationships or nothing. We'll still start this
Enemies.
conversation. No, we'll don't hit side of the DMs. Just text me right away. So we'll be all right there. All right. So I do want to share with you, Ryan, with this theme of a viral clip that I have found out this is 100% real.
Okay.
This is not a skit. This is
Okay.
really a family's disaster taking place at the moment.
Okay.
So it's a weird one. Um, really weird one, but I'm going to show you. The clip starts with, guys, I just found my dad's Tinder account on family vacation. He's been married to my
Oh,
mom for 20 years.
that's
So
not
let us
good.
do this. So let me say first, before Ryan, do you tell the mom if you find this out? Or do you
I
let it
presume
naturally run out?
they're married still at the
At
time of this video.
at the time of the
Like,
video,
yeah,
yeah.
this is not like, oh, my dad has a Tinder account and he's divorced my mom, but we're on family vacation. This is a supposedly happy family went on vacation together. And if that's the case, yeah, you
Yeah.
have to. You have to. I'm sorry. Like, and I get it, that's not great, but nah, it's your mom. I'm saying this like obviously we just saw it's a woman, which makes sense by the way because she presumably saw him on her Tinder account, which
Hmm.
must have scared the living crap out of him, right? Like,
She must have put older gentlemen too.
well, yes, but I'm
So
saying he would have seen her too, right?
it's possible, yeah.
It's possible, yeah. I'm not saying he did for sure, but I'm like
Yeah.
he may have seen her too, so that might have scared him
And
because
I'm
if
bad on him for doing the age range younger.
yeah, but also yeah, right. So one, she knows that he's trying to bang girls her age, and two, if you can see her, that means she can see you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily at the same time, but you're both in the same swimming pool, so to speak. But anyway, no, but like especially I feel like I could see guys, especially like alpha bros, be like, nah, nah, you still gotta no. Your dad is your dad. Your dad is not your boy. You know what I mean? Your dad
Right.
is not your bud. Like he might call you bud. I call people bud all the time. My dad called me bud all the time. You know what I mean? But that's not your boy. And I mean, obviously, you know me. I don't necessarily know that you should help your boy cheat on people either. But whatever. People will disagree with that. But I'm saying you don't let anybody cheat on your mom. If you're a
Yeah,
man, you
well,
don't let anybody cheat on your mom. That's just a fact. You just don't let that happen. If you're like a real man would never let that happen. So anyway, let's see the story. But yeah, you gotta inform mom.
gotta inform mom. All right, brother. Let's see. All right. Here it is.
Just ruined our family. She's just find out.
What are you talking about?
Tinder, John?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You just ruined our
I don't know what
marriage.
you're talking
I'm so
about.
fucking
You're
sick of
fucking
this shit.
nuts.
It's the second time.
Are you serious?
Second time?
Yeah, she said second time and then have this. I actually think this is the Raya app or Cheater or whatever, right?
Cheaterbuster.com. What is that?
I think that's what they could use for to find people's Twitter or whatever,
Oh, interesting. Gotcha.
but I don't dismiss what she did, and I agree that's the right thing she did for the mom. But why you gotta make the content put it out there too?
Well, yeah, I mean that's just
That's
everything.
a
But I
whole
will I
issue.
will say
Mhm.
I'm curious what that cheater buster thing is. I might look that up in a second. Because there is, I will say this, there is a difference between running across your dad on Tinder, right? Or typing in your dad's information to see if he has a Tinder account. Like those are different things. If it's the second thing, right? If she was searching for that to see if he had one, then I would hope she did that because she had a suspicious feeling that he was cheating and that she wasn't just kind of like for shits and giggles seeing if she could start a fight between her parents for content. That would be gross. And unfortunately, because she posted the argument between them, you have to at least consider the possibility that she was hoping that that would be the case so she could have a viral video. But either way, the account's real, and so the dad obviously messed up and sounds like it may have been more than once. So like, yes, I agree. You shouldn't post it, but you can't feel bad for somebody in that. I mean, you know what I mean? You can't feel bad because he is the one who did it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's the one who showed her mom, but he could have avoided it by not cheating, obviously. Certainly by
Mhm.
not going on Tinder. Like, that to me is almost insane. Why would you leave a paper trail? You know, like I don't want to even be like that because that's like super like deceptive or whatever. And I honestly think you should just abstain from that activity anyway. But if you're really like bent on it, right? Why would you leave a paper trail that your wife or your daughter could easily find? Like, why would you do it on Tinder? Do anything else. Go to a bar. Like, seriously. Tinder
That's
is
the one
like
of the things. There's no doubt we'll have a deep study, I'm sure, with the dating apps that's led to infidelity. But yeah,
I
dude,
want to see this thing real quick though.
difficult, difficult.
But what do you think, man? I mean, do you think that the making content was okay?
No, some things are meant to be private like that. I think she should have just let the parents do that, and I'd be very upset if I was the family to see that too. Because remember, like, how's Thanksgiving gonna go and stuff? Reckon again, everybody's wrong in this situation, but I don't think it's necessary to make content from that. If you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to just. I was trying to see here. What is this? Cheat Buster. Search Tinder profiles with AI, safe and easy. All
Mhm.
right, I'm gonna do something here.
Good. Well, while you do that though, um, yeah,
Yes,
Tinder's a weird
continue,
place.
continue.
Tinder's a weird place, but we move on for enough love, loss, and moving on discussion. I want to talk about one of the TV's hottest shows right now, Severance. Severance is having its season finale at the end of this week. We'll complete season two. Likely, you'll see a season three announcement amongst that. And bro, Severance, the show about a sci-fi slash mystery thriller about a
Hmm.
mysterious company known as Lumen Industries, who people are still trying to figure out what they are exactly, and the severance program that they created amongst itself, where if you are if you have chosen to be severed, you have both a work personality and a citizen personality. You have a work life and a non-work life, and your two lives are separated together, and all the deep questions that lead to that. So Ryan, you just finished season one.
Yeah,
Right now, I am on the brink of I am all caught up. Ryan's done with
right.
season one, and I'm all caught up. And I will say you have a lot of great stuff coming your way, but without
Hmm.
spoilers. Should I first just play the viral? Let's just talk
Sure.
really quick. Now, I will just talk really quick about the show, but how are you feeling so far about Severance? And so you're at, and spoilers up to this point, you
Yes.
see the Mark finding out that Gemma is still alive, his wife.
Yeah. Yep.
We
We
find
did
out
see
that
that.
Irving is a painter, but also you see clues of his innie giving signs of what Lumen does as the
Right.
painting.
With the elevator
Then we have
pictures.
Helly. Helly R is really Helen in the real world, who is related to the guy who created Lumen,
I
and
mean,
all that's going on.
seems like she's next in line to be CEO from the way that it was presented.
Well,
She's
luckily
the
this
next
is
Egan.
Severance, not Succession. But yes, her
Well,
dad is
yes.
Egan. But yes, that's what we have so far in the big drop there. And season two helps us lead to figure out these mysteries amongst it. But just tell me some of the things you like, you dislike, and all of that, because it's a fun show to theorize. Everybody who
Oh
I've met
yeah, yeah.
legitimately gives the time to the show, absolutely loves it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely an interesting show to like try and figure out what is going on. I will say, just so for everybody to know, I am at the part now. I just got to the part where I'm in watching the season two, episode one. He just got off the elevator again, and there's a painting of Egan with four people and like just their heads, and he's got a weird sword thing, where that replaced the clock right outside the elevator. So I've seen Mark W, and I've seen the beginning of episode 1, season 2.
Hmm.
But I do think for me, what I found interesting about the show is that I don't doubt that they've already told me a bunch of answers to questions, and we just missed it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like the type of show that it doesn't feel like they've got like a broad idea and they're kind of just filling it in. It feels like they know how this thing started, obviously, and they know how it's all going to end, and they're just going to do it and do it that way. They're not going to change anything. They're not going to try and appease fans like Milchick, the actor who plays Milchick. What is his name? He's awesome in the show, but
Yeah, his
Tam
very first
something
TV
like
show, and Trammell Tillman.
yeah, Trammell Tillman, right? And so like everyone really likes him. He's very very good in the show. But I don't think they're going to change the trajectory of his character just because now he's kind of a fan favorite, so to speak. Like fans really enjoy his storylines. So
Yeah.
I do think that they already know how the show ends and they're just working
Yeah,
their way
Ben
through.
Stiller did say that. He
Yeah,
has at least three seasons planned.
yeah.
And even though season three hasn't been renewed by Apple, I assume it will be at the
Oh
end of the
yeah.
week.
Yeah, they will get their full if he's got 3 seasons and that's all he needs, then he'll get all three. Surely, because the show is already got more pop. Actually, my wife just said like, why are we just hearing about this show now?
Yeah,
Because the
it had
first
a
season
three
was
week
3 years. Yeah,
a 3 year break. Now imagine seeing what you saw and you had to wait 3 years for that resolution.
right, exactly. That would have been crazy. But I don't know. Are we doing theories or you just want my general thoughts?
You
Where are
could
we
give me your
at?
theories because I am farther than you. I would like to request now once you do finish, Ryan. We should
Hmm.
definitely do a matching my
Oh
show
yeah,
for
yeah.
Severance
Love
because
that.
this show will carry on for that. But just hold
Yes.
that thought very quickly.
Hmm. Hmm.
So Ryan, as we were saying, back at it, and return in terms of theories. What are you thinking right now? And I'll just throw it out there. Just give me anything. And I looked at the one theory we talked about on ChatGPT, but feel free to talk about just your thoughts, other
I don't even
thoughts you
remember
have on the
what theory
show.
did we talk. What theory did we talk
Why
about?
the waffle party?
Oh, I mean, the waffle party was weird. I don't know. I don't understand that. Um, I don't understand that at all, actually,
I
and I
feel like
haven't
that
learned
has to
enough
be
yet.
about a lot. The whole concept of this show is definitely criticizing corporate culture right now. Corporate culture here in the mid 2020s. I think that waffle party represents that more the disingenuous rewards people have, having something so bland. Now, no even syrup or anything with the waffles. I think that could be an example of that, which is kind of funny. Though I do like the dance party. What do they call it? A musical dance experience.
Yeah, no, but I'm not talking about that waffle party. I'm talking about the one at the in season 1 before Dylan does the plan. So Dylan
Yeah,
goes to the Egan house in
the
the Hall of
OTC,
Perpetuity.
the
Yep.
other OTC.
And he eats a waffle or a couple waffles and there is, and then he puts on this head of Keir Egan and he sits in a chair while 4 dancers are doing a very sexual dance in front of him. And again, I know it happened because I watched it 3 seconds ago. Not 3 seconds ago, but like 30 minutes ago. So I'm like, what was that? And so I am curious to see about that. Also, something to note, there was a goat, was one of the dancers, had a goat head on. And I remember there are goats being fed in some room back there. So something about goats is going to be important. I don't know what that is. But I think, and honestly, finishing season 1 and seeing the start of season 2, I'm actually very convinced of this. I don't believe that the workers at Lumen on the severed floor specifically do anything. I don't believe they have a real job. I believe they are the experiment that Lumen is testing, and Lumen is testing it because Severance, the procedure, is their product. That is the thing they're trying to sell to people. The Severance chip and the Severance surgery. And
Hmm.
so they're collecting data from people to show how people work with the severance chip, how the severance process works, how the severed folks like kind of basically react with one another, with the outside world, all that stuff. Or the concept of the outside world. Obviously, you're not supposed to see the outside world. That's the point of severance. But um, I mean, you get to the what's it called? The beginning of season two. He's the only one who came back, and he's got a brand new team. And the person who's in charge of their floor now is a child. Like, it's
Yeah, yeah,
absurd.
exactly. I'm just hearing. There's definitely stuff I want to say, but I don't want to spoil everything for what I know so far, too.
Yeah, I mean, this is all I assume, not assume. This is all very old information. That's why I'm sharing it. But
Just only a few months. I mean, not
those are
too long.
yes,
So
that stuff's a
just
few
a
months.
season's
But
worth.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know any more than that. But what I am saying is, in season one finale, uh, we get final confirmation that that senator's wife, I should say,
Yeah.
had the severance operation,
To
so she
avoid that
didn't have to
pregnancy.
experience pregnancy and childbirth, right? So like it's clear that there are commercial applications for severance that they're exploring. One probably to other companies who want to have that quote unquote work life balance, where you don't have to worry about work when you're home. You don't have to worry about home when you're at work because of the severance, thing. And then some probably who are doing shady top secret stuff who don't want their employees to know what it is they're doing. I'm sure that some of them are interested in severance, and then some wealthy people who just don't want to do the hard parts of life are interested in severance to avoid, almost like the movie Click, which also has Christopher Walken, but that's beside the point. Um, and
Who
so
would have thought
I'm,
that the endearing same-sex couple would be John Turturro and Christopher
I
Walken?
know that I was pleasantly surprised.
With great chemistry between the two of them. It's awesome.
Yeah,
You do pull for them. You
and
really
they're
do.
both very good actors, which makes sense, like that they
Yeah.
would be able to do that. But no, in all seriousness, that's the theory that I'm most locked in on. I will be honest
Who is
though.
Bert? The Bert and Irving
Oh no no no,
relationship.
the they don't work anything. They don't actually have a job. That they're
Oh,
experiments. They're not doing any real work. It's all make believe. Not make believe. They're physically there, but like there's no point to their jobs. Their jobs are just there to test them, so they can grab data about the severed people to use to sell the severance chip.
yeah, that's the real
Um,
one. And
right.
for a
That's
weird
the real
company,
purpose.
the coldness of the company, and one of the clips I'll show you that we have viral for now, the actual buildings in Homedale, New Jersey. It's
Huh.
a
Interesting.
real
It's a
two
real building,
million
huh?
squared foot office building.
What the, what are they
And
doing there in real life?
well, exactly. So I did look up there like more like science experiments and stuff like that and stuff. It's operational. You go to work there tomorrow. People are
Yeah.
going there to work every day. So
But not on the
it's weird.
severance for it. But yeah, that's actually
It fits.
interesting because
Yeah.
if the show is trying to say that they're an experiment for it to be a laboratory in real life
Yeah, I
that
think
they're
I looked up
using.
something called Bell Labs is operates there.
Oh, really? Bell Labs.
Yeah.
Okay, I know
Whether
Bell.
it's
I mean, I
one
lived in Jersey.
is it one of them or I don't know if it's one of the office buildings or what, but
Yeah,
it's one of the tenants I know.
that's interesting. So the idea, and I could see them doing that, like picking an actual laboratory to kind of hint that this is all an experiment. Yeah, I think I'm dead on about that.
One
I'll be
thing I want to
honest, but
know, why do they have stuff from why all their cars look old as fuck?
I looked into that
Did
on
they
like
ever
a
give an
website.
explanation?
I have not heard the explanation, but apparently at some point, again, this is according to a website, so take this with many grains of salt. At some point, the state, which is not a real state, they're in a fake state.
Mhm.
Um, seriously, the address is PE, which is not a real state for everyone
Yeah.
who's from the states. They would.
You could
But
even know that.
yeah. So it's a fake state, and they're in the town of Kier in this fake state.
Yeah.
But apparently they're saying that this state was cut off for an unexplained amount of time.
So like Cuba almost.
Yes, essentially, yes. And so that's what I read. They've not said that as far as I remember from season one. I don't
Yeah.
know if they've said it in season two or not, but that's what I read online like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So could be interesting. What I don't know though is the what is this Gemma Miss Casey thing? How
What is
why?
it? What
No,
do
I
you
know what I
know?
know what it is. I know
So you
that
saw the
she.
reveal
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that is
But
that was a great reveal, by the
yeah,
way.
well, they revealed it 2 episodes earlier when he was putting the picture back together. But then they
Yeah.
had him figure it out. But my thing is like, why?
Why
To
are
put
they
it
to get
bluntly, how did they
for
get her? How did they make everyone think she had a car accident?
Oh yeah, that's well
Where does she go when she's not Miss Casey? Because so far, at least in this episode that I've started for season 2, she's not in it. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, how is Lumen connected to Mark? Because his wife died prior to joining Lumen.
and
He
why
was not.
he one of the reasons why he decided to
Right.
do that as
Oh,
a
and
coping
I'm like, okay, so
mechanism.
was it like to recruit him? They're like, we need to make him sad enough to join us, so we're gonna tell him his wife died. But how did they make everyone think that she died? And also,
Right.
why would they target him to do that? I mean, finding out about Helly does make it seem at least plausible that everybody who is a part of the team has a explicit reason for being on the team. Like the Audis have a reason,
Yeah.
according to Lumen. Like I mean, it's clear that Helly is a marketing stunt. They put one of the Egans into the thing to
And that
show that it's
really shows
safe.
how strong the performance is
Yeah.
from from the woman who plays Helly. Can't think
She is
Britt Lauer.
yes, Brett Lauer. Um, but yeah, I don't know. To me, like that's a big question mark that I still don't fully understand. Is the whole like the heli of it all, like or not the heli of it all, the whole Gemma of it all. And again, looking at their Audis, seeing that, I mean, we've seen all four of their Audis technically, but we saw three of them in depth. And so Mark clearly, we've known his story because we follow him. He is sad about his wife and he joins Lumen, right?
And we saw the very opening shot of the series, him bawling his eyes out. Now,
Yeah,
is that from going to work or is it the
I think it's the wife. I think it's meant to
is
be
the
the wife
wife?
anyway. Yeah. Um, we know now that Helly is an Egan who basically was saying, I would not get. Basically, she's there to say, if this was dangerous, would we have let one of our family do it? That's why she's got the surgery. That's why she works there. She got the severance to show the world, like, if I'm willing to let my daughter do this, this is completely safe. And so she's a marketing ploy, helping her family business, whatever. And now we see kind of, it's hinted at Shirley, based on all the information he's collected, that that Irving is trying to figure something out.
Yeah, that
Like
he's
his
caught on with something.
but his Audi is, which we've
Yeah,
not
yeah,
heard
his
his Audi
outies.
speak other than like good boy to the dog or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, his
but it's
dog
clear with all
Radar.
the right radar exactly. It's clear that with all the info he had in that chest, that he either after joining Lumen or maybe even before joining Lumen, and that's why he joined was because he wanted to try and get some info out or whatever. But it's clear that he has some sort of mission around Lumen that is separate from the Innie's mission and even from like Mark's mission that he is kind of was briefly wrapped up in with that professor or something that killed the security guy in
Yeah,
season
well,
one,
that one,
which we didn't see any
Orsino.
that didn't come back. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. With
Right, yeah. So to answer, I do think some of your questions will get answered as the
yeah,
season
I'm sure.
progresses. And then, would love to hear your thoughts from there privately. And then
Oh yeah.
once you actually see the finale, the last
Hmm.
episode, we should definitely make an episode right away reacted to that because we did really
Yeah.
well with Severance. Sorry, we did really well with Succession,
Succession. Yeah.
like really, really well. So we should do the same with Severance. Isn't it? It's just so crazy. Those two shows, I think, have the exact same amount of letters.
This
S-
this weekend's supposed to be the end, right?
Yes, this weekend, Thursday at 9 o'clock, they'll have the 1 hour and a half season finale.
Okay, interesting. Because I mean, obviously, you know our recording schedule. I don't know that I'll be able to get through all nine. I'm assuming it's
Oh, you don't
9.
have to get it. You don't have to get it to this week. I'm just saying as soon as possible. Within
Right, but I'm
the
saying I
next
can
couple
make
weeks.
maybe get a big chunk. I know I am one episode of White Lotus behind, but I might be able to convince my wife
Hmm.
to put a pause. We'll just do a White Lotus marathon next week and get me through
Yeah, and
Severance
also
this week.
just
So we'll
just
see.
for you to not get spoiled. That's what
Yeah, I
my thing
know.
on Twitter. Twitter, they don't care.
Twitter
I
does.
have seen some spoilers for something on one episode. In
Yeah.
fact, the Mark reveal was spoiled due to Twitter. I wasn't caught up yet. They just put me in the algo.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't care that much about spoilers. I like to
Oh,
try
I
and avoid
do.
them. So I'm not gonna say, oh, spoil it, it's fine. But like if I see one bit of information on Twitter, I'm not gonna lose my mind, be like, oh my God, I can't believe this is spoiled. Because, you know, I was a performer, right? Like a performer when I was younger and all that. And we had a always told it's not about it's about the journey, not the destination, right?
Right.
So even if I know the destination, knowing the journey and how they get to that destination is oftentimes more interesting. But yes, I want to try and avoid spoilers for as much of it as I can. I heard that there's one spoiler I saw was that there's a talking house in one of these episodes played by Keanu Reeves. And the only reason I know that is because apparently it was supposed to be Barack Obama, which would have been very funny. But
Oh yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's
It's not.
not a
It's not a
big
big. It's not a
spoiler.
big deal.
No,
No, no. But
I
I read
mentioned
that
it
too.
to
That
somebody.
originally
Yeah,
was Obama, which would have been
really
fascinating.
funny. I
I
would have
don't
loved
think a
that.
president's ever done that sitting or
No,
not sitting.
usually they're actors then president. They've never gone president to actor, but
Yeah, but
that
yeah,
would be
that's not a
funny.
big deal. That's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But the three things I want to show you really quick
Hmm.
is messing around with non-spoiler content.
Well,
I love
yeah.
I love the dancings we've learned from this. This is one of my favorite memes ever because it fits everything. The Mark Rock, the Any Shimmy. The- I love that scene.
I
The Milky Shake, the Millie Shake. So,
that was my favorite scene of season 1, by the way,
what was it?
by a lot.
What did he call it again?
Which one? The Millie? Oh God, the something dance
The
experience. The
musical
5. It's
dance
like a
experience.
5-minute dance experience of some kind. Let me look it up real quick. It'll come up. But the name of that episode, by the way, was Defiant Jazz, which yeah, the music dance experience, something like that. Yeah, music dance experience is definitely the
You know what the best
what they
line from
called it.
that was? The music dance experience is officially canceled.
Yes.
When Dylan bit him.
When he bit him, yeah. No, literally, that entire scene was one of my favorites. I was laughing hysterically. I laughed at that, and then I laughed at when Cobell in the first season got fired, right?
Yeah.
That was when the waffle party with the burlesque dancers
Hmm.
happened. And I laughed that entire time because I was
She's
like,
great in Patricia Arquette.
oh yeah, she's great. And I felt bad laughing during what was clearly a very emotional scene for her, and she did it very well. But they just kept cutting away from her screaming to what was essentially a Lumen version of a lap dance. And I was like, this is insane. Like that was when the show, like I thought the musical dance experience was going to be the peak of the absurdity of the show. And then they did that and I was like, no, that's the peak of the absurdity. Like the zenith of the just insane that is the show. And it's supposed to be it's an absurdist show. It's supposed to be absurd. And
Yeah.
so but that was the zenith was that particular scene. So I'm excited to see how they follow it up this time. I do hope they didn't do another music dance experience. The MDE was perfect the way it was. ended perfectly with that iconic line, as you pointed out. And yeah, I hope they don't make the, oh, well, everybody liked that, so let's do that again. It won't be the same. It
Yeah, they
won't
said
feel the
stuff like
same.
throughout this in this writing room and stuff that everything is intentional. There's nothing
Right.
coincidental, so we'll pull that off. And so I also have here, if you're gonna take the Holland Tunnel, this is to Homedale, New Jersey. This
Yeah.
is the actual filming location.
Yeah.
Water tower right here. See, Bell works. So
Yeah.
right here, this woman, Nancy Rispoli, commented, worked there for 3 years. Many people saw Ben Stiller just walking around the installations. It was rumored that a new show was going to be recorded back then. Who knew it was going to be Severance? All the locations they I assume this portray inside Bellworks are real. She wrote portrait.
Yeah.
And you could go inside all the time just on the first floor and on special events like the Bellworks Market and stuff. I always look for the library, the green areas around, the fun stores, the best coffee around Buskerdu. A lot of times been there, but real place.
Yeah. I mean, I know Bellworks, and I lived in New Jersey. I not near Homdale, but I mean, not that far from Homdale, but so I do actually know Bellworks. They have other places too, throughout
Yeah.
New Jersey. But yeah, that's cool. I did not recognize it because of this, honestly, because of the snow. And that makes it's interesting that they make it such a snowy place. At
Yeah, they
least,
make sense for the winter part. Or make it
yeah.
as isolation as they can, I guess.
Well, yeah, it
And
definitely feels isolated, but I because of the snow and stuff, I always assumed it was filmed out in like the Midwest. New Jersey gets some snow, but not like, obviously that was added in the snow, right? But
exactly. And then this last one, just want to share really quick.
hmm, hmm.
I think this truly made Mr. Mr. Mildrick a star. This one scene right here.
Yes.
Like, that's a Halloween costume this year.
Yes.
For the musical dance experience.
That's such a good scene though. Like I
I will
can't
say,
explain it to anyone who hasn't seen it. It is a good scene. It's
yeah, it's important.
psychotic. It's the one of the weirdest scenes in the show,
The
and it's
musical
so
dance
so
experience is
good.
over. But I will
Officially
say,
over.
do you think he's gonna turn face?
No.
You think he'll always be bad? He always has the attention.
I think he's always going to be roughly what he is now.
Like for teen, he's always for Lumen.
Yeah. I mean, so it sounds like obviously it seems like I don't want to we're getting into too much season 2 for I don't want to do that anymore of
Mhm.
that, but I think he's never going to be the main villain of the series. He's never going to even be close. He's always going to be this interesting sort of side character who happens to have operational responsibility over our protagonists.
Loves to use his
So
vocabulary.
yes, I think that is
Can
where
I ask one thing? If he turns face, I think a lot of people would treat it like a big time wrestler turning face. Like they'll want him to turn
yes.
back because he's such a lovable character too.
No, I mean, yeah, people will be excited, but I think there's a version of the show with different showrunners and stuff where he would because he's so well liked, but I think they're going to keep it
Ben
the way
Stiller
they
won't
planned it.
cave
He won't cave, and I do think that means he's going to
if they
be.
decide to do that.
I think he's going to be what's it called? He's always going to be this goof. He's because he's goofy.
Is he
He's a
like
villain, but he's
Samuel
not
L.
like a.
Jackson in Django, like that type of character? Not exactly the bad guy, works for the bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Always felt
because
like that.
but as much as he has a couple of serious scenes, right? He's also a very goofy character, just by and large, because he's put into these ridiculous situations, and I think they will continue to do that.
I like that. I like that. All right, Ryan. It's March Madness time.
Yep.
The round, the classic tournament as America's can be for both men and women. A round of 64, well, 68 technically. The round of 64, 64 of the best Division One college basketball teams going at it for one champion. Go from this sweet, so you go from the round of 64 to 32, Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four, and all of that. How
Hmm.
you feeling, Ryan? You excited for this year's March Madness?
I mean,
You fill out your bracket?
I did. I'm always excited because I do the brackets and I, pay attention to the basketball. It's the only time I pay attention to basketball, really. I study up before I make my bracket and then I watch the tournament. So I don't watch college basketball throughout the year other than highlights on, various online when somebody does something, crazy or one of the bigger names does
Mm-hmm.
something. But no, I'm excited. I have a decent bracket, I think. Well, obviously, you never know. Upsets are kind of the thing with this, right? People are expecting upsets. It's part of why, as we covered in college football, so many people were upset with college football as they wanted these, March Madness-esque upsets in the playoffs of college football that just were not likely to happen. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think I've got a fairly good lineup in my mind for, and I have
Yeah,
multiple.
who's your most confident Final Four?
I mean, my most confident Final Four is probably not the one I'm doing for like my local account, like the one that like my local group. When I did I'm in the cores one and the around the horn one, and I think that's a pretty confident one. I got Houston, Wisconsin, Florida, Michigan, with Florida beating Houston in the championship for that one. But the one that my friends down in DC do, right? That one I've got Auburn, St. John's, Wisconsin, and Houston, with Houston beating St. John's in the championship.
Yeah, those are good ones. So yeah, I've been pretty into college basketball. I got really heavy into in the mid-January, just giving up the NBA. Just I mean, I always will have my eye on the NBA, but they're just not even trying.
Yeah,
But so paid to lay the attention a little more. Auburn's been the best school in the country, but they just had some injury issues now.
they
So we'll
dropped to
see if they can
4 in
hold
the
that.
AP rankings
Yeah.
this today.
So that's just one thing with the Auburn that might turn people off. St. John's great as long as they can make their 3-pointers. They're really great on defense. That's their strong point.
Hmm.
Houston's been dominating all year long, especially in their division, in their conference,
Yep.
in the I mean, blah blah blah, in the Big 12. And what was the other one you said?
Oh, Wisconsin.
And yeah, Wisconsin, pretty good. They had a loss in their conference championship, but
They did, but
um,
they surged toward the
yeah,
end of the year based on what I looked at. They were
exactly.
lower
That
than they
yeah, it
are
doesn't
now.
really
Yeah.
matter because anything can happen with
Right.
these tournaments. And the teams that I picked Michigan State, who's been killing it in the Big Ten lately.
Hmm.
They always seem to blow it like around the Sweet 16, so I'm a bit hesitant for now. Duke, as long as Cooper Flag's playing, no one can stop that offense. Same thing too. I have the University of Houston, and I also put Florida Gators, who look pretty good, great out there. They've been the best amongst under Auburn, the second best team in the SEC. SEC is bringing 14 teams, 13 teams in the tournament this year, the most ever in any conference. 13 schools representing it, and I think there's 16 schools in the whole conference.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are all good picks, obviously. I'm curious though to see. Well, one, Iowa State has lost one of its top players.
Yeah.
And so while I don't believe that that is going to be enough for like Lipscomb to beat them like in a round of 64 surprise, I do think UNC doesn't have any business being in the tournament.
No, and you
And
saw the
there's
whole
a
thing. I have
chance,
a funny
yeah,
meme here with the fact that their AD is part of the
the
committee,
selection, right? Yeah.
and they
And I
have
guess
this meme right
technically,
here when Bubba Cunningham was leaving the room for North Carolina discussions.
yeah, exactly. And technically they might not make it, right? San Diego State could
Yeah,
still
in
take that
a
spot.
date, make him out in Dayton.
But I think that what that means to me, and one of the teams I'm going to watch because I'm curious, is that Ole Miss, who I think is not a particularly strong basketball program,
Hmm.
has two really. I think they got a really fun shot to get into the Sweet 16, and from there, I mean, you're looking at a Michigan State Ole Miss matchup. That I think could be make or break. I think Ole Miss, if they can get past Michigan State, again, that would be an upset to be sure. But if they could do it, then I would. Then I'm gonna put all my eggs in that basket. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say if Ole Miss can get out of the Sweet 16 with this kind of gift they've been given of having their first real like challenging team be Iowa, who has lost one of their two best players. I think that they could be an interesting team. They got four seniors, so they got more cohesion than almost any team in the tournament this year, right? So I'm excited to see how they do. I do have them losing, by the way, in that one, the one I have with my friends. I do have them losing to Auburn, but I do have them beating Michigan State. So
Yeah,
we'll
you know what's
see.
fun about this tournament? Anybody could be a fan of
Yeah.
it. Anybody could go in, and it is all luck. So don't get
I
too
mean,
heartbroken
yeah.
on it, and just rock with it. As the
Yeah,
kids say.
I mean, that's why basketball has so many games in general. It's anyone can win any of the games, really. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, there's some games that just, but but by and large, all it takes is one lucky night or unlucky night, depending on who you are, and your whole tournament changes. Look at Yale from last year, right? They went kind of far.
Yeah, to
That
get
guy
in the
got an
Sweet 16.
NIL deal like midway through the tournament.
There was St. Peter's from Jersey City that made the Elite Eight 3 years
Yep.
ago,
hmm
as an example. George Mason made a Final Four when we were in like middle school. It happens.
Local
So
school. Local school.
look at
Drexel,
that.
sorry, my
Drexel.
lady Drexel Dragons did not make the tourney this year.
Oh,
They made it last year. Unfortunately, I was unable to go to the alumni event at the bar to watch them lose that game because it was at 3:30 and I had work. And I wasn't going to take time off to go. I was kind of
yeah.
hoping that they'd make it again, and I was kind of hoping to go if they did make it again. But alas, I'll have to wait just a little longer. I don't believe the Drexel's men team will ever make it, but the Lady Dragons have made it once or twice in the past. They've never made it out of the round of 64, if I'm not mistaken. But but hey, first time for everything.
Shouts to Drexel, no doubt. Shouts to Drexel. So Ryan, John Cena appeared on WWE for the first time since his heel turn.
Mm,
Showed up on Raw on Monday in Brussels, Germany. Sorry, Brussels, Germany. Sorry, Brussels, Belgium.
Belgium, yeah.
And he came out. First time we saw him, no music change.
hmm
Pretty much the gear he would have wore, heel or face turn. So I feel like that's the direction they're gonna go there. But he came out. He said his gripe against the audience, felt like he was taken advantage of. Even pointed out as a little kid wearing his stuff, he's just nothing to me. It did feel so, I don't know about you, Ryan. I felt some kind of way. And he says, "You people don't matter to me," which I think is no matter who you are in this world, that is the ultimate way to
Hmm.
bum somebody out by saying you
Yeah.
don't matter to me. And basically my question to you, do you think his first promo back with a return with a Cody returning and getting mad,
hmm
but that's much it, but do you think John Cena in his promo justified his heel turn?
It was a good promo. I like that they didn't change the way he looked or his song. That would have been stupid in my opinion. People disagree, and that's fine. Come to the comments, let me know why I'm wrong, and I'll respond, let you know why you're wrong. But um, so all that was good. That being said, and this is not a deal breaker because they've got plenty of time. No, the explanation to me didn't make sense.
I agree with you. This was one of the things that was hard to, cause like, well, his heel turn kind of just you picked any reason, like anybody could have got mad for what he did, but
hmm
for a 20-year run like that, you need something a little more personal, I felt.
And so part of my thing, and I said this when we talked about the turn, the actual turn, not his this, but his when he actually turned. And I won't lie to you. Certainly Jose, and I think it might have been you too. We're kind of, jumping on my chest for a little bit, but he won his match and he won it clean. I understand. Oh, he took someone. Yes, he won it clean. The Rock didn't help John Cena win his match at
And The
Elimination
Rock wasn't
Chamber.
mentioned today by him nor Cody.
The
I
Rock
don't
will
know.
come back into the story. I'm not worried about that. But and that might fix some of this. But in general, John Cena didn't need to turn heel to get this match. He earned the match as a babyface. Like that factually. He was a babyface when he won the match, and no one expected the heel turn. And so like he didn't need to break bad to get Cody Rhodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
to me, he needed a reason to turn that was more Cody centric. And he could have still said a lot of what he said about the fans, like you deserve nothing. If it were me, and obviously it's not, but if it were me, I would have had Cena do this is cliche in wrestling, but I think he could pull it off because he's a real actor. I did it for Cody Rhodes thing because, Cody is clearly on the Cena trajectory, right? And, having him say, I had to play, this part for 20 years. I was stuck at the behest of these people who were fickle, who booed me out of arenas when they were supposed to be cheering, who were begging me to do what I did to you, and then as soon as I do, they boo me out of the building here in Brussels. Like these people are fickle, and you're walking right into the same trap
Yeah, that
that I
would have
walked
made so
into.
much more sense.
You're walking into, this is a gilded cage that they're about to shut the door. And the only way to keep you out of it, Cody, is for me to take that title from you. And say he could say like I've been stuck in the cage. I did it for 20 years. I put the company on my back. I was the man that everybody again, it's all very close to what he was saying. But the thing is he was mad about us and that's it.
Right.
Which
It
is
doesn't make sense to
fine.
be mad at the audience.
Which is
That was one
fine.
of the things I was just like when I was texting you Jose and just making fun of it. By the way, no Jose only because of technical issues, so hopefully get him back next time. But
Yeah.
it's just the idea of like it's a weird
If
time to
he
just get mad now when
right.
you couldn't do anything wrong for the fans to like you.
So if he lost at Elimination Chamber and they made this the triple threat instead of Reigns and Rollins and Punk. If
For
Punk had
respect.
won, right? If Punk had won, right? Punk and Cody, they don't side with The Rock. The Rock wants a chosen champion. Neither one of them agrees to be The Rock's champion because they both hate The Rock. John Cena, who is the last person pinned, does attack them, does take the rocks, whatever. Then he can go out and say, I've busted my ass for you all for 20 plus years. You never cared. You just wanted to see what was next from John Cena. You all complained about Superman, but you wanted me to keep doing these amazing things. You're all fickle. You deserve nothing from me. Then he can say, I want that title. I deserve that title. I'm the greatest professional wrestler in this company's history, in the history of this business, and I deserve to hold the record. And at WrestleMania, I'm going to beat Cody Rhodes. I'm going to beat CM Punk. I'm going to take my title, and there's nothing that any of you can do. Then you go to the kid, be like, look at these kids dressed like me. I used to care about that sort of thing. Not anymore. Don't care about you. You mean nothing to me. I need to secure my legacy as the greatest professional wrestler to ever live. Blah blah blah. That makes sense. If he basically rags on the crowd for being like, I've always fought for you guys for 20 years, and what do I get? I get to tie with a slimy old rapist. Like, no offense, allegedly, allegedly. But
Mhm.
anyway, like, but that's the vibe. Be like, I get to be second best after spending 20 years trying to make you people happy. No, I'm
Yeah.
doing this for me. Love that. And then you don't have to talk about Cody or Punk. They're just in a match with you, and you're going for the title, and so are they. But because that's not the case, because he earned that shot before he turned on Cody, he needs to explain the Cody turn. Because the Cody turn wasn't to get a title. Again, if he attacked Cody and Punk to get The Rock to put him into the match, now it makes sense. Now the turn was to get into the match. And so all he has to do is explain, I need to be in that match. And that could be about them, the fans. But since he had the match and he just turned for fun, you know what I mean? Like he just turned because The Rock pointed at him. He needs to explain why The Rock enticed him to go dark. And he did not do that with this. That being said, it was his first one. Cody came out and did his usual, you're a whiny bitch thing. It was fine. Brussels loved it. I think they're going to hone in on a real story at some point. That isn't that. This was just they wanted to have a stadium rather, full of people boo John Cena, and they got that.
Because the Americans wouldn't have.
No, they probably still would have, but they wanted it to be loud. They wanted it to be
Yeah, more
sustained,
dramatic.
and they wanted a crowd that was not going to be hypercritical. Brussels was going to boo John Cena no matter what he said. They were going to cheer Cody, even though Cody did kind of the same tired thing he always does when he's fired up babyface Cody. And so when they get back to the States and work together, hopefully, as we saw last year with The Rock, they'll allow a little bit of like actual acting and storytelling. That's my hope. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
oh, man, I was watching Smack like the first time, like I actually sat and watched SmackDown Friday night,
Mhm.
and I was like, yeah, I like my clips better. It's just
I mean,
like Cody
SmackDown
just beating
is
up Miz for no reason. You know what? All he wanted was some time, and just beat him up,
what's so
which is
it's
a very
interesting.
heel thing to do, by the way. But
But I
whatever.
mean, think about in all seriousness though, think back seriously. That was like that's a John Cena thing to do. John Cena as a face, remember face Cena? Like he pushed Zack Ryder down those, like you know what I mean? Like John Cena as a face was an absolute menace, and as long as you were a heel, it was justified and played as like for laughs or like the hero beating the bad guy. That's why my thought is they will eventually get to this idea that John Cena was worried that Cody would take the Rock's deal, which is why he took the deal first. And it's again this idea that Cena wants to save Cody from becoming John Cena, right? And it's a weird subversion. They kind of did it, but not far enough, in my opinion, with Bray Wyatt, which is possibly one of the biggest shames ever. Because that match is beautiful, and I still rewatched the Firefly Funhouse match between them. But I think the reality is that could have gone even further, and I think they're going to hopefully explore some of that in this storyline. But I do think they're going to get where I think they should be, and not just because I think they should be there, but because they do need a reason that isn't the fans. Because again, bro, you had 20 years. Come
Yeah,
on.
how about
Why
that?
did you wait till you were about out the door? You're about out the door and you turned. Does not make a lick of sense storyline wise. He did not need to turn, like I said. So they're going to have to explain why. Because so far they have not. So far they've just done the easy stuff, the building heat stuff, and you have to because otherwise Cena will get cheered. He's John Cena, like you know what I mean. He's a very famous movie star and one of the most famous wrestlers ever. So like you do have to do the cheap heat stuff, right? Blame the fans, but at some point you have to explain why you turned on Cody when you didn't need to.
We will see if that winds up becoming a thing. All right. So, quick thing here, Ryan.
Hmm.
Um, so did you hear about what happened at Starbucks this week? This is a real
No,
story.
I did not.
A delivery driver in Los Angeles, California has won $50 million. $50 million after being seriously burned when a Starbucks drink spilled on his lap at a California drive-through. $50 million. 50.
What? Wait, what? How did?
So a Los
Huh?
Angeles County jury found Friday for Michael Garcia, who underwent skin grafts and other procedures on his
Oh,
genitals after a venti-sized tea drink instance spilled after he collected it on February 8th, 2020.
50
He
million is
had
not enough.
he has suffered permanent and life-changing disfigurement, according to attorneys. Garcia's negligent lawsuit blamed his injuries on Starbucks, saying that an employee didn't wedge the scalding hot tea firmly enough to the takeout tray. Quote, the jury verdict is a critical step in holding Starbucks accountable for flagrant disregard for customer safety and failure to accept responsibility, one of Garcia's attorneys, Nick Rowley, said in a statement. Starbucks said it sympathized with Garcia but planned to appeal. Quote, we disagree with the jury's decision that we were at fault for this incident and believe the damages awarded to be excessive, end quote, the Seattle Giants said in a statement, adding it was, quote, committed to high safety standards in handling hot drinks. And yeah, Drew, this is this generation's hot coffee incident from McDonald's.
But
And
this
yeah,
is different. So it is different because
so you
if
say
I'm
not
not
enough.
if I'm not mistaken, the McDonald's, the spill a cup of coffee, make $1 million McDonald's story was a woman spilled on herself and basically reported the coffee was too hot and it burned me. And they found for her and gave her money. I don't know any more details. Maybe a real lawyer can like dive in and give us more info on that. And maybe I'm missing something, but I believe that's the timeline of events. I don't know what they tried to prove, but I know that she was
So I have
drinking the
right here
coffee.
from the same article.
Hmm.
Um, in one famous 1990s case, a New Mexico jury awarded a woman nearly $3 million in damages for burns she suffered while trying to pry the lid off a cup of coffee at a McDonald's drive-thru. A judge later reduced the award, and the case ultimately was settled under a disclosed amount under $600,000. Juries have sided with restaurants at times, as in another 90s case involving a child who tipped a cup of coffee onto himself in Iowa. So I don't know if it was self-inflicted or not, doesn't say, but that's all I have with here on
Well,
the
she was trying to open the
article.
lid. So that is self-inflicted. You don't have to open the lid in the drive-thru. You could put it down, drive somewhere more stable, and pick up and take the lid off. This sounds like he grabbed the coffee and it fell out of the thing
They actually
and
have a picture
into
of it. You want to
his
see?
lap. I mean, sure. I don't know that I
So
want to see his scalded genitals, but yeah.
no, they don't have that. They just
No,
have
I figured.
the footage of what happened. I don't know if it's a video or not. No, no
Hmm.
video. Just a still from the let me see. There is a video if we want to quickly do it real quick.
Hmm.
Video spill.
How
But
old is this
anyways,
guy, by the way? Do we
he's
know?
30 years old.
Yeah, not enough. Not enough money. I asked for more.
So he's
He
done
can't
for
have
life.
kids. Yeah, he can't have kids.
So here he is, right here, just quickly, thanks to ABC News. Just let me do this really quick here, and then we do have to quickly move on.
This morning,
$50
Starbucks ordered to
million.
pay up. A California jury ordering the company to pay a delivery driver $50 million after hot tea
Right here.
spilled into his lap. Surveillance video from the drive-thru in Los Angeles shows a barista handing the man a drink carrier containing 3 teas, one seemingly unsecured. The cup then spilling. We freeze the video here. His lawyers say he suffered third-degree burns on his genitals and groin and claim Starbucks had a flagrant disregard for customer safety.
So I thought to myself, why so?
Mark judgment
Any more
against
of the footage?
the case. The
I mean, to be fair, that didn't look like that she did anything wrong. Am I bugging with what we saw? That's all we had.
We saw a grainy security video, so I don't know. But it's not that I don't know what flagrant means in a court of law. I want to put that out there right now. To me, flagrant, I know what flagrant means in like sports talk, like a flagrant foul, right?
Yeah.
No, that didn't look like a flagrant foul. It looked like she just didn't push hard enough. It looked like an accident. Essentially, you know what I mean? Like it looked like she served the thing, and obviously one of the cups was loose, and it fell out of the holder, and it burned him. It was just a tragic accident. But that doesn't excuse, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't excuse it, I guess, if from like a legal perspective. And again, this guy, he can't have kids. I don't know if he's married or not, but this could very easily affect that, like his ability to find companionship of any kind. Um, it said disfigured. I don't know what that means, but maybe something is missing there that wasn't previously missing in that general area. Like to me, yeah. I mean, when something like that happens at your place of business, you do owe them money. That's the standard we've set in society. Maybe it's wrong. I don't know. If I lost my ability to do any of the things that he probably lost his ability to do, I wouldn't stop until I'd end up
So
closing.
justice is served.
I'd probably end up trying to close Starbucks. I'd probably have a vendetta against the entire franchise.
Do you think this affects Starbucks at all? Like
They
$50
might have
million,
to pay.
that's a lot of money.
They might have to pay $50 million, but other than that, it won't affect them. No one's gonna not go to Starbucks because a guy got burned. I will say if they, if they kind of like fuck over this dude, if they decide to use their money and their corporate connections to really
The
fuck with this
appeal?
guy, well, the appeal is fine. They're entitled to an appeal, but I'm saying like if they start like burying him into like counter litigation, bullying tactics, things like that, if they try and throw their weight around as a company on him because of the 50 million scaring scaring them, I think that could hurt their brand. You know what I mean? They've already had some kind of issues with like the union stuff or whatever. So like they've already kind of got a couple of issues with people who typically like Starbucks, and that's another part of this too. If this wasn't Starbucks, but like Arby's, this would be a different conversation. But Starbucks has a particular type of customer, and they've already made some mistakes for that customer. So attacking the little guy who's just trying to work a
Probably
job, by
one
the
of
way.
the thing that the brilliantly decided from the jury. They knew big corporation, chance to take him down. That's all you
Could be.
need. That's all you need.
I think
sometimes.
it's because this guy's life has changed forever. It is changed forever. That's a fact. Forever, by the way, like
Should this
he's 30 years
barista
old.
go to jail?
No,
I
Go
don't know.
to
She
jail?
didn't do it. She didn't do it right. Apparently,
she didn't do it on purpose. If she threw the coffee at him, then sure. But I mean, she spilled. It was an accident. That's why I said I would love to talk to a lawyer to learn what flagrant means in these cases, because I don't. To me, flagrant means like on purpose. And obviously, that's not what it means in the law, like in law.
And even
right?
that little footage didn't seem like I'm gonna.
It wasn't on purpose. No, I don't know anyone who could say it was on purpose. So clearly, that's not what flagrant means. But
That's a long
I'm
time.
curious.
5 years ago too. You waiting a long time for that. Just shows how long. But crazy story, man. Just two more things. Number one, Ryan, the Savannah Bananas are back as baseball returns to our homes at the end of next week. The Savannah Bananas are the one thing keeping baseball interesting. It feels sometimes. So they had their season. They had a season game. I don't know if it's the regular season opener, or their tour opener. But they sold out Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida. 65,000 people showed up for a baseball game in this football stadium. Just show quick footage of that. Look at that. They filled this whole.
Never played in a football stadium.
Over 60. Look at them dancing, but they're just known to having a good time. They dance. There's a 2-hour limit, the most, and
fans on hand.
A mixture of old professional baseball players and amateurs just having fun. The Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
Right, that's what I mean. It's like
game to date.
they play the same team every time, right?
Yeah.
And Scolds this one to Olsen. He will whip it between the legs.
Messing around stuff right there.
Dustin Baber. There it is. And all the kids and adults doing that jig. Banana balls.
Chugging beers.
The St. Petersburg kid has the first long ball in a football stadium for the Party Animals. Or opposite field.
The Savannah Bananas versus the Party Animals. That's what it is.
Every time, right? Yeah. Or
yeah.
Roughly every time, yeah.
Right. He sends this one high and deep to right. Robert Anthony Cruz.
Wow. Smash that thing.
out of the infield,
Yeah.
and that ball trickling into the outfield grass. This looks like it could be a winner for the Bananas.
They have a
This one is
special
Sky Gillespie trying to track
overtime
him.
system or extra innings.
Gillespie, one of the greatest catches in ball history.
But
Wait,
yeah,
they
bro.
let the party animals win sometimes?
I think so. I think so. I don't
Wow,
remember
that's
who was there,
crazy.
but they're going to
'Cause-
be at Yankee Stadium this summer. I plan to go, and City Field.
That's cool.
The
The
I'm sure
Globetrotters didn't let the other team win.
if they're going to the Nationals Park, you should probably check it out.
Oh
No,
yeah, I would
they
love to.
specifically make tickets more affordable too. I think they only have a limit like $20 at most, and it's general seating from there.
Huh.
If I
That's
heard it
cool.
correct, I might not be 100%, but I heard that on the radio. But
That's awesome if that's true.
dude, people will watch baseball if you make it fun.
Baseball is a great sport to watch in person.
Yeah.
And so then when you make it fun on top of that, you could fill a whole stadium. I think TV
football
baseball
stadium
is,
too.
I think baseball on TV is hard for a lot of
Yeah.
people. And so, and I get that that's where the money is because of the advertising, but it's something for them to think about, especially as if the team is or the league is still very regional. So there's something to the idea of just packing the house every night and not worrying about the TV ratings as much. But then you gotta have teams that are fun. You gotta make it
Yeah.
fun to watch in person and affordable to watch in person, which the MLB does not like to do.
Exactly, bro. So our last clip today is with Timothy Chalamet off his Oscar tour. May have came up a little short, but bro will be back to making movies in no time. But they Complex reposted the clip that made him famous. And the quote is, "This Timothy Chalamet will forever take me out." Now, I watched it for the first time in a while, in many years. I basically watched this and I realized, yeah, that you hear the term "born to be a star." Yeah, it kind of makes sense with this original song back in high school that he made and he choreographed himself.
Wait, you know I hear my Dougie feel good music, I'm bringing it back. What's wrong with that kid? Does he think that he's black? Chop! Timmy Tim, the Timmy Tim chop. Timmy Tim, the Timmy Tim now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey guys, I see y'all on the dance, but don't know how to act. Trying to steal my swag, but your swag don't match. Since day zero, Lil Timmy Timbo win. Hit my Tim Tebow, hit my Jeremy Lin, get ripped.
Jeremy Lin.
You kiss me on the cheek, and I turn it to the lip. I'm you know.
Again, like
I will
and
say,
bro was
not
meant to be a celebrity for at least
not a
a
great
performer.
rapper. Yeah, not a great rapper. I think we
But
could.
for I think he was
admit that.
I think he's 16 years old doing that. His
Yeah,
own
but-
song too.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. It was a fine rap, and what was more impressive was just the entire like the whole showmanship of it all.
Yeah, that's how you become the
So,
most popular kid at school in the world.
you think so? Because he
You
went to
know,
LaGuardia, right?
Yeah.
So that's why. Like, let's just be honest. We went to a public school, and not one that specialized in performance. If somebody at Norwalk High while we were there had done that, we would have laughed. Let's just be honest. We would not have cheered. We would have laughed. And
I'm
we
sure
know
honestly
it.
that's where some of the kids at this high school went. They probably
Well,
did
no, I
laugh
mean,
at him.
maybe a few, but LaGuardia at least
Yeah,
is
it's
like a
mostly
music
performing
school,
arts,
right?
yeah.
So everybody kind of had the same boat. I'm saying you have to admit, and don't get me wrong, when they got older and Chalamet became Chalamet, they would be like, "Wow, remember when we laughed at that kid?" But at
Now
Norwalk
he's got
High,
a couple Oscar noms under his belt.
exactly. When that if that had happened at Norwalk High, and I've said now where we went to high school. Oh well. But if that happened there, it would not have been met with the same rapturous applause. I think that that's a fair statement.
Who knows, man? Who knows? But he definitely had the itch in him, and
Oh
he's doing
yeah,
well with the talent.
he clearly wanted to be a performer, and hey, he's done it.
Good stuff there. All right, Ryan. So I think that could wrap this up today in the 499th episode. We'll see you at the end of the week as we celebrate 500 shows on this podcast. and we'll keep on going until we hit our big goals and make our dreams come true. But great work as always, Ryan, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
All right.